Welcome to Football Kingdom. I'm Brandon Johnson. Tyler is out this week. He will return next week to discuss week 5 with us. But until then, we have to discuss week 4. And I'll say this, 4-0 is 4-0. The Chiefs are still undefeated. In fact, they are the only AFC team left to be undefeated. Now, there's quite a bit to unpack in this game that the Chiefs and Chargers played. A lot of bad, a lot of good. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. So let's just start with the bad, I suppose. Get that out of the way for us so we can then turn around and focus on some of the good. I would say the most glaringly obvious negative is the injury that happened to Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is feared to have torn his ACL in really kind of a freak injury. It was off of a Patrick Mahomes interception where they were trying to make a play on the ball, and actually Patrick Mahomes' butt really caused the knee of Rashee Rice to kind of almost hyperextend and create what we think, it's really not been confirmed, what we think is a torn ACL for Rashee Rice, which would obviously put him out for the remainder of the season, which would be highly unfortunate for this Chiefs offense because he has really been kind of the leader of the offense. A lot of the success and productivity has come from Rashee Rice. If you look at his workload through the 3+ weeks that he had, in week 1, he had 7 catches for 103 yards against the Ravens. In week 2, he had 5 for 75 and a touchdown against the Cincinnati Bengals. And then against the Falcons, he had 12 catches for 110 yards and a touchdown. So he was well on his way to being a 1,200-yard receiver. And as far as we know, he is likely out with an ACL tear. Like I said, there's still some uncertainty surrounding his injury, and he's got to do some additional testing to see what's really going on in there. But maybe we'll be surprised and it won't be as bad as we think, but it sounds like it is that, and he is likely out for the season. And along with him being out for the season, we talked about it kind of leading up to this season for Rashee Rice about his pending legal issues that stemmed from the offseason with the street racing that he did back in Dallas with the hit and run. So he's likely going to miss this season, and it's possible that he's going to miss time next season, both potentially healing if it is an ACL and likely serving some sort of suspension for that off-field conduct. So it might be a while before we see Rashee Rice on the football field again. Now, let's move on to the other really kind of negative for me in this Chiefs football game. It is Carson Steele. I think he obviously was, going to be given an opportunity with the Isaiah Pacheco injury of getting significant carries and being a big part of this Chiefs offense. He fumbled last week, and Andy Reid and the Chiefs gave him another opportunity, and basically that's what they do. If somebody makes a mistake, they have him get back out there. But unfortunately, this week, Carson Steele, while the Chiefs were driving, fumbled the football again. So through 4 weeks, Carson Steele had 4 fumbles. And after the fumble in this game, he basically disappeared and did not really see any significant playing time for the remainder of the game. And Kareem Hunt actually came in. We'll get to Kareem Hunt in a second, but I think Carson Steele, while he's a fun story, I don't see him being a huge part of this offense moving forward, just because while this offense has obviously been kind of struggling to get going, you can't have somebody that is clearly at risk of turning it over. Unless your name is Patrick Mahomes, who had a terrible interception that led to that Rashee Rice injury. But we'll have more on Patrick Mahomes in a little bit. Let's talk about this offense, though, because I think coming into the season, the thought was this offense is going to be a lot more explosive, and it just really hasn't been there outside of just a few plays here and there. We saw a play this week that I'll get to in a second, but the offense so far has been just kind of middle of the road. They've only scored 6 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes has already thrown 5 interceptions. They're not converting third downs, and just some stuff seems off with the team. Even Patrick Mahomes doesn't really look all that great this season. Now, he's Patrick Mahomes, so I'd like to think that he will kind of figure it out, and we can kind of move on to the good here. I actually think Patrick Mahomes, probably about the middle of the second quarter on, started to look pretty good. Once he threw that 50-yard deep bomb to Xavier Worthy for that touchdown that really got the Chiefs back into the game, after they were down 10-0, he started to look a little bit more comfortable, and especially in the second half of the Patrick Mahomes of old, extending plays, scrambling, just doing some heroics. So I'm hoping that that's kind of a get-right game for Patrick Mahomes, because we're definitely going to need him to get back to the Patrick Mahomes that we know that he is with the absence of Rashee Rice. Now, more good is Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce, who we all know got off to a slow start this season against the Ravens. He had 3 catches for 34 yards. He had 1 catch against the Bengals for 5 yards. He had 4 catches for 30 last week against the Falcons. But this week he had 7 catches for 89 yards. And that is really a pretty typical Travis Kelce game throughout the years. 7 for 89 yards. And I think you're going to start to see him be a little bit bigger part of the offense again, obviously due to Rashee Rice being out. Travis Kelce is going to be asked to do a lot more. Xavier Worthy, who had that big touchdown catch in the second quarter for 50-plus yards, he's going to have to probably be a bigger part of the offense than he was already. I know that he was kind of getting into it, but I think he's going to just kind of get thrown right in now that Rashee Rice is out. But I think this is going to be a situation similar to last season where we're just going to spread the ball around. Justin Watson's going to get plays. Juju Smith-Schuster is going to get plays. They're going to find a way to get Noah Gray involved, obviously Travis Kelce. But I would be curious to see if they're going to try to make a move and bring some sort of receiver in, depending on what happens with Rashee Rice. But I think you might see some similarities from last season where it's just going to be the Chiefs getting through it. Obviously, they won a championship last year doing that. So I feel like I should be panicking, but I'm not panicking because it's the Chiefs and they've won back-to-back Super Bowls. They have a quarterback that has had the greatest start to an NFL career ever. They have, 1A, 1B tight end in Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, obviously. But let's talk about Kareem Hunt, because Kareem Hunt came in and I think is going to be huge for the Chiefs because he came in at 14 carries for 69 yards and wasn't sure what we were going to get out of him, but he's clearly RB1, and Samaje Perine will be kind of that third down back, but again, kind of leaving Carson Steele as odd man out. And there's a chance that Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be coming back on the roster because I think he's eligible this week. And if he comes back, do we just kind of not see Carson Steele at all? Does he get moved? Does he get cut? I don't know. We'll see where the Chiefs are when the time comes for that. I think the defense was great again. Gave up 10 points. Chris Jones had 2 sacks. And honestly, I think with the injuries, there's just, Chiefs players dropping like flies at this point. I think the defense is going to need to be, just like last season, they're going to need to be a big part of this team's success. You can obviously look at many, many times where the defense won the Chiefs games last year. You can even make an argument that that's why they won the AFC Championship last year. So I think that you're going to need to see really more of the same from the Chiefs defense this year. And through 4 games, I think that they are completely capable of doing that. And we're 4 games in. We're a quarter of the way through the season. The Chiefs are undefeated. There's a lot of question marks surrounding the team right now. But you're 4-0. You have beat Baltimore. You've beat Cincinnati. Both teams that are Super Bowl contenders. And you could easily be 2-2 right now if those games go differently. But we're not here to play what ifs. Like I said, 4-0 is 4-0. Taking a look ahead to next week, the Chiefs host the New Orleans Saints on Monday Night Football. Now, the Saints were kind of looking like this new and improved team that was going to have an offense that was absolutely amazing, but the Saints are now 2-2 and come into an Arrowhead that is obviously one of the toughest venues to play in. But the Chiefs are vulnerable. They are. All the injuries surrounding the team right now and kind of who's going to catch the football for Patrick Mahomes. But I like the Chiefs in this game. Like I said, I'm going to be picking the Chiefs pretty much every time unless something drastic happens. These injuries are tough, though. Injuries are really the one thing that the Chiefs, through this dynasty, have been fortunate to avoid anything major happening or any players missing more than just a game here and there. This is the first time where you have Isaiah Pacheco, who's missing probably 10 weeks. Hollywood Brown, who might not even play at all this season, who was supposed to be one of your top receivers. Now, Rashee Rice being out. So this is a little bit different of a situation than the Chiefs have been in. But like I said, I have trust in the Chiefs. I have trust in the organization. Trust in Patrick Mahomes to be able to figure it out. I have trust that some guys are going to step up the way that they did last year. It's time for Xavier Worthy to just really dive right in, and Travis Kelce to just be the guy that we've known him to be, and then Patrick Mahomes to kind of get back to the Patrick Mahomes that we know he can be, the 2-time MVP, the 3-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time Super Bowl MVP. I think if they get into that form and the defense works the way that it has been working this season and last season, I think the Chiefs are going to be all right. It's just going to be, we're going to be on the edge of our seat from start to finish, but that is Chiefs football. That's kind of who they are. But again, I believe in the Chiefs, regardless of really all of the kind of unfortunate situations that have unfolded. So Chiefs Saints on Monday Night Football. But let's look ahead a little bit to what the Chiefs have coming up. So after this game against the Saints, the Chiefs actually have a bye week. It's the earliest bye week that they've had in the Patrick Mahomes era. I think the other earliest bye week they had was week 9 one year, but week 6 bye week, earliest bye week for the Chiefs in a very long time. But after the bye week, the Chiefs go to San Francisco, play the 49ers for a Super Bowl rematch. Then they go and play the Raiders, and that will be in Las Vegas. The last time the Chiefs were in Las Vegas, they won a Super Bowl. So it'll be fun to go back to Arrowhead West and take a visit to the scene where the Chiefs won their 3rd Super Bowl in the last 5 seasons against a Raiders team that is scrappy and had a lot to say about the Chiefs in the offseason. Then they'll play a revamped Buccaneers team after the Raiders game. Then they'll host the Broncos, another divisional matchup that will be interesting. Bo Nix and the Broncos. The Broncos aren't really focused on winning this year. They're more focused on developing Bo Nix, but can never look past an opponent because if you do, that's how you lose. And the Chiefs after that, and this is the last game we'll look at before I wrap this up, after the Broncos game on November 10th, Chiefs will go to Buffalo and play the Bills. Bills have been really playing out of their mind outside of the game against the Ravens this past week, but Bills and Chiefs, always a treat. That's looking way ahead down the road. But again, I like the Chiefs against the Saints on Monday Night Football. That is all I have this week. Like I said, Tyler will be back next week, and we will be back to cover Chiefs Saints and just talk bye week. See you then.